One of our students, who is on the autism spectrum, was working on a drawing, bold red and orange lines, paper a little torn, colors going everywhere. To most people, it might just look like a messy art project, but to me, it meant a lot more. While he was drawing, he looked up and said, "I can too." Those words hit me. It wasn't just about art, it was about being seen and proving they belong. It made me think about how often schools, sometimes without meaning to, let ableism shape what we see as good work or right behavior. We expect things to look neat and follow rules, but not every student learns or expresses themselves that way. This moment reminded me that creativity doesn't need to be perfect to be powerful. That drawing showed confidence, focus, and a voice that deserves to be heard. It reminded me that inclusion isn't about making students fit in, it's about creating space where everyone can be themselves. Now, when I look at that artwork, I always think of those words, "I can too." It's a reminder that every student has something to offer when we give them the chance to show it. This piece reminded me how ableism shows up, often without us even realizing it. Ableism gives priority to non-disabled experiences and points of view, and it's built into our systems, schools, and even the way we define good work. Carapita, 2019. When we expect all students to learn, behave, or create in the same way, we're unconsciously giving more value to non-disabled norms. That limits opportunities for students like mine and keeps them from being fully included. It reminds me that inclusion starts when we see every form of creativity and communication as valid. By changing how we see and respond, we begin to break away from the ableism that's built into our classrooms and communities. This image challenges us to look beyond norms and create spaces where all students can say with confidence, "I can too." The next image, titled "Strength Grows in Quiet Ways." This image of a quiet, uneven path reflects the experience of many people with disabilities as they try to move through a world that isn't built for them. The medical model often sees disability as something inside the individual, a problem to fix or a limitation to overcome. But the social model of disability suggests that a person is not disabled by their own individual impairments or pathologies, which are valuable diversities. Instead, people are disabled by the disabling barriers within our society. Oliver, 2013. In the image, the rough ground represents these barriers are physical obstacles, social stigma, and rigid expectations that make the journey harder, not the person walking it. The normal distribution shows how society values people based on how closely they fit the idea of normal. Those who fall outside that narrow middle often face judgment and exclusion. As Davis, 2006, explains, this normalcy must constantly be enforced in public venues, must always be creating and bolstering its image by processing, comparing, constructing, deconstructing images of normalcy and the abnormal. Page 12. This constant pressure to appear normal shapes not only how society treats people with disabilities but also how they see themselves. The truth is that the problem is not with the people walking the path, it's with the path itself. If we stop enforcing the idea of what's normal and start embracing human diversity as natural and valuable, the road becomes smoother for everyone, and peace becomes something all of us can reach. What seems like a simple walk for others can be a steep climb for those whose minds move differently. The path exists, but the world must make it smoother, not by changing who walks it, but by reshaping how we see them. The last image, titled "Power Found in the Chaos of Charcoal." When some of my friends first saw this piece, they asked why it looked so chaotic, all the rough lines, smudges, and overlapping shapes. To them, it seemed messy and unfinished. But for me, that's exactly the point. This artwork isn't about perfection or structure, it's about expression and release. I created it during a time when I was feeling mentally exhausted and overwhelmed, and putting charcoal to paper became my way of coping. Each mark, each swirl, each dark patch carries the pressure of expectations to appear composed, to perform, to fit into spaces that aren't always built for difference. The idea of intersectionality, which Kimberly Crenshaw, 1989, described as the complex, cumulative way in which the effects of multiple forms of discrimination, such as racism, sexism, and classism, combine, overlap, or intersect, to produce and sustain complex inequities. The chaotic lines in my drawing can be seen as a visual metaphor for that overlap on how personal experiences of stress and mental health can't be separated from the broader systems and identities that shape them. The tension and movement in the piece reflect how those intersecting forces, societal expectations, identity, and emotional struggle that collide and coexist. Through this lens, my drawing becomes more than just a way to cope, it's also a quiet act of resistance against the barriers and judgments that often come with being different or misunderstood. It's a reminder that our experiences are never one-dimensional because they are layered, complex, and worth being seen in their full depth. This image also speaks to societal barriers we face, the ones that define what's acceptable, successful, or normal. These standards can silence people who express or experience life differently.